What is up, guys? We haven't done one of these for about a month, so we're going to rank every single AD carry in the game based on how good they are in ranked right now. Kind of order them. Before we start, thank you to Pro Guys for helping with this video. There's going to be a link down below. Check out the guides on the site if you're looking to climb a bit quicker this season and you want to try that out. But let's just get into the video. We're going to start with 5 stars, and this would mean you'd pick them every single game with any team against any team, and you'd stand a good chance to carry still. So they're the most versatile, most consistent. Twitch is number 1. He is still insane with the crit build, high range, which means he can also kill enemy AD carries while they can't return anything. Like, he's going to activate his R, stand at range, and they're just going to have to try and run away, but they can't. He's basically just better at every stage of the game. 1 item through to 6, he will do more than another AD carry will. So at the start of fights, you have range, you have your bonus AD, bonus attack speed, and crits on everyone. That is way too much for everybody's handle, and it's so much naturally just packed into his kit. You have your key resets as well, which is a pretty underrated aspect of his kit. Like, if anyone dies with his poison on, which is not hard with the runes, to be honest anyway, his Q comes off cooldown and you can use it again. He really preys on bad players as well because you can surprise stealth people. You never know where he is. It's easier to impact and get kills on, in my opinion, than other ADs. One of the problems with Twitch though is he is a mobile, and it can get a little bit boned if you're not careful. Like, if the enemy support goes really aggressive, they have a lot of crowd control, then you might be screwed with a weaker support, or if you just get caught in team fights. Caitlyn though is also 5 stars. She's the second best crit user after Twitch, I think. Runes is going to help a lot with your headshots, but she's just so versatile and safe, plus she does a lot of damage. You can't really go wrong with Caitlyn. That is the general feeling, I guess, in 6.24. You can actually do stuff in early fights as well. You don't just have to sit there with your hands down your pants and wait for late game like a lot of other auto-based ones do. Headshots combos are doing a lot more right now. They're actually pretty nasty when you pull them off. Like, you can headshot into a net plus Q plus headshot, which is a good like 75% of their health just gone. The fact that that is getting way more popular and a lot of people are doing it, especially at high elo, just means her win rate has probably jumped up quite a bit. Caitlyn is pretty obnoxious in the lane phase anyway, but there is just a lot of synergy in lane to get kills. Like, any kind of stun into trap into headshot and Q is a lot of damage. Late game, you're still one of the best. You stay safe, you have headshots to rip through people, and you're high range. But just like all crit champions, she does need some time in the game and does need items to team fight. So those are the only 2 5-star champions. Now we're moving on to 4 stars. So you might not want to pick these every single game, but they can do really well and hard carry. They're not like as well rounded, I guess is the point, but they're good at what they're designed to do. So they do their job well. Draven is actually the first one, and he's massively better this patch, I think. He's probably the best lane AD carry. Even early, like, his Q gives a lot of damage. Your passive means there's a no pressure kind of style, right? You can sit back, you can farm, you can stay kind of safe because 1 kill and you're going to pop off. It makes your mid game a lot stronger because you'll have more items, you'll have more gold than a normal AD carry, and that kind of bridges the gap at the moment. There's this massive gap between AD carry and other roles. It's why we feel so useless mid game, because they're able to do a lot more than we do. But if we have more gold on Draven, then that gap kind of closes. The new Korean Draven build is really good, or you go Bloodthirster, or you go crit. They're all going to work. They all do a ton of damage, and they all scale pretty well as well. So you can actually just pick what suits you. We talked about the no pressure thing before, but it's also if you get 4-man gangbang bot lane like normal, and you can still actually recover quite easily. So there's no real like you have to get ahead or you're screwed. You're still going to do damage anyway. You are a bit harder to play in team fights, catching axes and positioning and spamming your W. There is a lot to think about on a Draven when you're playing him, more than other AD carries anyway, but he is worth the extra effort though. The next one is going to be Jhin, and I know this might seem like a bit of a surprise, but he's still really good in the lane phase. I think he can do more than most with bot lane parties because he was also from range. A lot of this is because he has so much utility, more than other AD carries anyway. He can set stuff up with his W, like root them in place, or his ultimate even slows. You don't have to get too close to fights. It's definitely the damage plus the playmaking that is putting him 4 stars though. It's the combination. You have to use both, otherwise you're not going to be that good. Crit actually works really well with him, which is good in this meta. Autos really hurt late game. You just have to make sure those 4 autos you get really count, especially the 4th one. You're kind of like a carry version of Ashe and Sivir. That's the way I want to think about this right now. Mid game you have damage, but you offer a lot more than just that. Trading 2v2 is easy, it's effective, you should be able to get ahead more than most others, but you have to remember that you're not that great late game compared to others. You don't attack faster with attack speed, and abilities are going to fall off a little bit. Misfortune is our last 4-star AD, and traditional AD carries right now kind of suck a little bit, right? That's the complaint that most people have, but Misfortune is not a traditional AD. She also has a consistently high win rate, so she does actually deserve to be here. It's not just my bias or anything like that. Her lane and her team fight are really good. One of the biggest things actually, especially for lower ranks, is she's hard to play against, but she's very easy to play, and that combination of the both of them is really good. A normal AD carry is going to ruin one person, right? That is their job. I say this all the time, by the way, so you're probably gonna get sick of it, but that is their job. They auto 1 one person they try and kill them. Misfortune does that to 5 people with her ultimate. That is why she's so good. Your lane phase, you just Q poke over and over, which you're out of range of the enemy AD, so they can't even return anything. You have your love tap to do quick auto trades, but there's a lot of synergy with supports as well. Like any crowd control is a free ultimate. Unfortunately, you are immobile, but you should be right at the back anyway, to be honest, and your auto attacks in team fights are not going to be doing that much. You want to make your ultimate really count. So moving on to 3 stars, these are still really good, but you're getting into the type who can get countered easily and might just get ruined between games. So they're like good one game, bad another, and really to climb you want consistency. So Vayne is the first one because she is still a mid to late game beast. She's still very, very good, right? She can still hard carry. Your lane phase though is getting harder now, which is why she's back to 3 stars. You have the outplay potential with stealth, which is really good. You can do stuff in early fights and outplay a lot more than most, and the crit build is still nuts. Even if we aren't going to be able to one-shot people anymore, sadly, it's still really good because you're naturally very good versus tanks and a 1v1 duelist, but you have the crit to kind of kill squishy targets. If you get ahead, you can just pop off. You can solo carry. I think if you're good enough, like you have one of those god games, you know, with those games where we just pop off and just kill everybody, you kite around, you're too slippery to shut down while doing a lot of damage. The thing is with Vayne though, you're punished early a lot more now by ganks and also just by general bot lane picks, to be honest. She's been in the meta for so long, everybody is sick of her, so they're starting to pick a lot of things that counter her. Ezreal is the next one. You're probably the safest and most well-rounded AD carry you can play, but also you kind of run the risk of not doing much. If you hit all of your skill shots, you can be a god and you can hard carry. 1 Q can be the difference maker actually in the lane phase, so you need to make sure you're actually hitting them all. Triforce, in my opinion, is a really good spike and lets us do a bit more early to mid game, which is the build I'm going at the moment more than anything else. So you don't really have to rely on your team with that damage either. You're pretty good at all stages of the game, honestly. Your lane phase, he has good poke and damage with fervor. Team fights, he has his blade, the Ruin King, and late game he has his mirror mana, which is going to be boosting his auto attacks. One of the things for me is that you're able to avoid early ganks, but also do damage if it comes down to a big fight. So you're more skill based actually than most AD carries. I know it sounds really weird, but you are, because if you hit all your skill shots, you can be a god. If you miss them, you're going to do nothing. He doesn't carry as hard as others though, and it's definitely not as easy. He's also not a natural tank killer if they get a super fed one. That is kind of why he's middle of the pack at the moment. Now Jinx might actually be further up this list. We'll have to see in 7.1, but I have a sneaky kind of suspicion that actually when Caitlyn kind of falls off the meta a little bit, Jinx is going to spike up massively. She uses crit really well with her rocket. She's a really good auto-based champion and she can take towers in the lane phase, but she's also just very easy to play, right? She stays in rocket form and she right clicks to win. She's kind of like the Master Yi of AD carry actually. She's easy yet she's effective. One of the best late game champions as well, you have to remember. At the moment, I think she falls behind Caitlyn and Twitch because she's more one-dimensional. All she does is kill stuff even if she does it really well. She is a bit more team reliant than you probably think she is. She really needs that first reset in a team fight to pop off, and that is harder when your team sucks or when you're just behind. You are immobile, you have no real ability damage, which means she won't do as much early, especially with a bad support. With a good one though, or a defensive one, she can do a lot. Now Varus might actually be higher up as well. He's very similar to Jhin, to be honest. Good damage, good poke, good utility with his ultimate as well. His lane phase is pretty decent, just like Jhin with his passive helping and poke wise as well. Also, he is perfect to set up ganks. He's kind of like the new Ashe. He also has high range, which is similar to Ashe. Good trades with the auto because of his Q and E that follows up afterwards, and also he uses fervor well to buff those abilities for extra damage. Your ultimate can cause chaos in a team fight. It's kind of one of those things actually where it wins a fight, but you just don't realize it. Like, it can have a massive impact even if it's not really killing anybody. Build wise, you're very versatile. It's a bit strange actually because some people go Essence Reaver and the crit build. Cooldown reduction, mana back. It's great for spamming your abilities and making your autos hurt. Rage Vader and Runans though is actually sick. It's really good. It's really fun combination, but you also have the Mana Moon and Poke build as well. They're all actually going to work. Varus is still immobile and he can get camped so easy though. That is why he's at the bottom of 3 stars. Like, for consistently climbing, I'm not sure he's that amazing unless you have a good support to play with who is going to protect you or set things up with you. So now we're getting into 2 stars, and these champions are still actually good. They're situational, which means they might not want to be picked every single game, but you can definitely still carry games with them. Lucian might actually be better soon after the buffs and with the Trinity and Blade the Ruin King build, but in general he's going to be here because you can just play better things. Other things do his job but better. He can still do well early, but I feel like he almost needs to win his lane, otherwise he cannot really catch up with the rest of the other AD carries. Like a Caitlyn, for example, can catch up even if she's behind. Lucian, not so much. You can stay very safe though, and you're going to do damage from range with your ultimate. You're not that bad in the lane phase at all. Actually, you're quite good. You are kind of short range though, and you need to use abilities in team fights. So in general, you want high range to stay safe, and you want autos with crits for damage. You don't really want to be using abilities in late game team fights, and kind of actually Lucian doesn't fit either of these. Siv's speed up is going to help your team do a lot more, and actually late game crits, you are pretty nutty. Like, you can pop off and just kill everybody. The problem is more that earlier I think you're just punching punching bag for other AD carries in this meta, and that's kind of more important now at least. Sivir really is noob proof though, honestly. Like, you just press W, you push the wave in the lane phase. It's pretty frustrating and hard to play against actually, because they can't really do anything. You're just going to shove them under tower the entire game. Your spell shield and your ultimate can keep you safe, so you aren't that team reliant. At least you're really like a enabler. You enable your team to do stuff in the game. You're going to need to hit that magical 3-item spike though before you're able to do very much. With that much crit, your bounces are really going to hurt and actually start making a big impact. By the way, I'm talking about Essence Reaver, Phantom Dancer, and Infinity Edge. Moving on to Ashe, we said before, Jhin and Varus are basically better versions of Ashe at the moment. I think you can be really good, but you have to have you and your team using your arrow properly. You're more of a proactive pick. You need to make plays. You don't really have any ability damage, and you're going to struggle to keep up with the others like Caitlyn or Twitch, for example. The problem is you're just immobile. You're easy to pick on with ganks or in a 2v2, and if your team does not come bot lane and use that arrow, or your support is defensive, then you don't really get much use out of it, and there's not really any reason to pick her. Tristana is one that I'm actually not sure. It feels kind of bad putting her here because I think she might be a little bit better, but for consistently climbing and ranked, which this video is about, I think she kind of does rank down here. She's extremely safe and she has a really good late game. Like, you have your jump, resets if it's needed, plus a knockbacker from your ultimate. It's pretty hard to fuck that up actually. The problem is your mid game is even worse than Caitlyn's in my opinion. Others are just doing your job but better. That's kind of what this tier is about. One of the major differences though is you are quite aggressive early with bombs and your jump. You can do a lot if you have a good support that is diving in to help you. You take towers super fast, you push well, and also late game you're going to have that high range and a lot of attack speed, a lot of crits, and they are going to be AoE crits with your Runins. You need your team or your support more than other AD carries at the moment to get kills. I think you don't really want to sit back either, or you're going to get screwed by your weak mid game. Kalista is the only one in our 1-star tier, and you're going to struggle a little bit to climb with her at the moment. Fervor and the bulk buffs actually helped quite a bit, but they aren't enough at the moment as it is, and she's not that bad in diamond. Plus I think she could work, but others are just better. After the buffs in 7.1, I think she'll be better again and might come back a bit more, but she's so hard to balance. Like, she might be good for high low again, but not for lowy low. You do kite like a beast and you're very good aggressive early game. That's where you have to win if you're going to play Kalista. If you mess up your rend though, you do no damage. Crit kind of overtakes you too later as well. You really need a good team to play Kalista. So the final one I want to talk about is Kog'maw. He's actually not that bad, but I don't play him. I haven't seen anyone else play him really. I can't really rank him based purely on some stats on a website which is saying he's doing okay right now if I haven't played him myself. I can kind of understand why. Blather and King buff and Trinity Force, same as Lucian, really is really good, and there's lots of natural damage packed onto his kit. Anyway, thank you to Pro Guys for helping with this. Thanks for watching, but for now, let's go to the robots.